So, hi, we're back with Tracey's Keeping It Real, and we're talking about operations and infrastructure, and we're back with strength and strategy with Thomas and Tab. I am so excited to have them back in the studio again today. Lovely to have you back, my sister. It's so lovely.
Thank you.
It's so lovely to have my brother back. You know what? I'm gonna have to get some sweaters like yours, but they're gonna have to have a little bit more ladylike. But I like that gentleman touch you got going on
It's
there,
my
Tom.
business role.
Oh, I like your business robe. I like that. I like that. So we're talking about that game again. You guys brought that. I love that game. See, I'm a card player.
Okay.
So you bring cards to my table, and then we just keep it rolling. So today we're going to go back to playing the Biz Card Revoke.
Yes.
And once again, we're going to talk about who is going to have their business card revoked. And I'm kind of starting to like that Tommy guy that we got sitting here at the table. So I'm not quite sure ready to kick him away yet.
Okay, we won't revoke his card yet.
We have to just see how that goes. So which one of these operational habits, though, will get your card revoked? Not having standard procedures written down? Being the only person who knows how everything works? Or hiring people but not training them properly?
Ooh.
Oh, it's almost like, that's a tough one.
Those are three good ones. Oh, I think I'm going to jump in on the people lane. I think I'm going to jump in on the people lane. Okay. Systems only work if there are people there to work the systems. So oftentimes when I'm in chats around operations and infrastructure, I reference the fact that people will confuse system problems for people problems, or they'll confuse people problems for system problems, leading to you have to know who your right people are. First of all, you have to know who you need in your business, right? You hire those people, and then those people have to be affirmed and validated with proper training and job descriptions and all of those things that are going to help them be effective. So I think if you're not setting your people up for success, your business cannot be successful. Therefore, your business card will be revoked.
It would be. So you're going with, because you said two of them in there to me.
I did. They were. It was mixed up.
Okay.
I'm going with the last one.
So you want the last one. So you're saying hiring people but not training them properly?
Correct.
It could get your card revoked.
Correct.
Okay. So Tommy, what you think?
I have to agree with that. And I think it's really important to say that we all aren't in a position to hire, right?
No, we're not.
So we're in these small but emerging businesses, and I know we have great aspirations to bring in these team members that's going to help us be effective and successful at the job. But more times than other, we can't afford to do that. And so what we would typically do if we was keeping it real, bring in resources that's around us, our friends, our family members, people to really kind of help backfill, because you can't do it all yourself, right? And so I think it's really important, though, to be able to create the systems by putting in the right people in the right places that's not only there to help you execute, but to help you build the process out. Because I think where we typically go wrong at is we bring in our cousin them, and they in fact just there for that particular execution, and the experience isn't the same. But having the right talent that you bring in and say, you know what, I know how you do well in the job that you do, or you carry this particular skill set. I need assistance in that space. I'm bringing you in officially but unofficially to assist me in it. However, as a result of it, I want to train you on how to go, but I need your help to help me to really standardize the practice and the process in doing that. And more times than other, we just bring them in and just say, okay, you're there for the moment, and you leave, and then you're having to redo that all over again. So I say it's the last one as well, but I just added an extra little touch of let them help you build the process out. So if you do officially and are able to hire somebody in, they understand the right way of going through their orientation.
Wow. Tommy, I'm going to tell you what. I swear to God, I wished I had you at least 20 years ago telling me that. Because I have brought people in thinking they could help me with the process.
Yep.
And all I did was spend money because they came in probably not even understanding what the process was they were trying to help me straighten out and help me with. And that was a waste of money. And so we do that. We bring people in, like you said, thinking, at first we can't afford them. Bringing them in thinking they're going to be our miracle person, and they're not. And had I thought about it the way you're now presenting it made so much sense.
Yeah.
Because now you're bringing somebody in to employ them, but they're also a part of the process.
Yes.
So now you're not, so they're going to make sure that it's going to work for them, for sure, them, and you.
Correct.
It makes sense. Versus you bringing somebody in that's just coming in to make money while they're trying to figure it out.
Right.
So I go along with you on that because I almost went against you on that one because I wanted to say not having being the only person who knows how everything works is critical to your business as well. But if you bring somebody in that can help you with the process of that, to your point, then I guess I have to say C as well. So I guess we're back to all having our cards once again.
Okay.
So I was about to say we're gonna have to figure out how to fix this, but
we got you. If your card gets revoked, we'll give it back to you before the episode. Yes, we got you.
I don't want to have to be without the card today.
Yes.
But certainly we need to talk about how do we get past this beyond that conversation. So, so by getting our infrastructure and our operations together so we can do it right, so we can do it right, hopefully the first time. And sometimes we can't always do it right the first time, but let's find out how we're going to do it all together. As we welcome our guest today with Tracey's Keeping It Real, we're talking about the Strength and Strategy Lab. And we got our friends Tav and Thomas here. And we're really talking about the Black-owned business spotlights and how we're able to shape our community and do it right. So, Tommy, Tav, let's talk about this whole business growth and leadership conversation that we're having. And today we're going to really be leaning into operations and infrastructure. We're going to start off with how do we make excellence while reducing chaos?
How do we make excellence repeatable? That is quite the question. I'm going to take a step back and talk about business development for a second. So everything that we do as something great is based in the 5 small business development stages. Those stages are existence, sustain, survival, takeoff, and maturity. The reason I start there while we're talking about making excellence repeatable is because the first step is understanding where your business is, because excellence is going to look different in each of those stages. In the first stage of existence, you're creating. You're just building. You're finding your way. You said maybe we'll do it right the first time. I mean, normally in entrepreneurship, it's 2 to 3 times before we start to find that rhythm or that stride. But knowing where you are in business is then going to help you understand how to create processes in that phase that help make excellence repeatable in that phase. So what am I saying practically? We are running businesses where we are acting like our business is in the survival stage when it's actually just in the existence phase. So we're creating all of these processes that would help a business that was in the 3rd stage of business, but your business is in the 1st stage, which is why you can't create systems that are going to make excellence repeatable in your business. You're thinking, oftentimes we think as visionaries very broadly. In order to make excellence repeatable, you have to come down very narrow. You have to understand what you're trying to accomplish in that season of your business, and then do that over and over and over again. A term used for that is minimum viable product. What is the minimum thing that you can do in your first stage of business to really drive revenue, and just do that over and over and over again? And then once you do it, you'll start to work the kinks out. This worked, this didn't work. The people actually don't like when I do that, so I'm not going to do that anymore. All of those things will start to come together, and then you can build on that at each stage of your business.
That makes sense. Yeah. And how many people follow that, I don't know, because they got so many different things they're doing all at once. They never do figure out that one thing that's making them profitable.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
We, as CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, we have 27 jobs. And so what I like to talk to people about when you're thinking about trying to make repeatable processes in your organization is pace. It's not balanced. Today, you're going to be able to knock it out the park focused on your social media, right? Tomorrow, you'll be able to knock it out the park focused on customer service, right? Give yourself time to create a pace at the first stage of business. Don't try to go too far. Don't try to make too much happen. Just stay in that first stage and build a pace and a rhythm at that stage that then allows you to build. But I mean, as entrepreneurs, we ready to be millionaires. We like I gotta get to the yams. That's what Martin said. And so he's like, I'm trying to get to the yams because everybody's trying to get to the money. But we have to be patient with this process and create repeatable processes in order to actually see our business go from one level to the next.
And that's hard, especially when you're working on a dollar amount, because a lot of times we're not working on the growth the way that it should be. We're working on how much money we think we need to make every month, and that's not always going to match up to the plan.
Correct.
Yeah, no, that's so good. I love that. And as I sit back and think about what Tav has said, one of the things with McNeil Management that I focus on is scale, right? And people think scale is just, I'm going to make more money or I'm going to dump more money and to create a larger process. But they don't understand the work that has to go into building out the structure to prepare yourself for scale, right? And what do I mean by that, right? So I'll give you an example with one of my favorite clients, Flame Mobile Kitchen, right? Flame Mobile Kitchen started off as a food truck and during the height of COVID. And we really took off during the unfortunate demise and death of George Floyd. During that time, we became a community-based commodity and people really wanted us and we started to cater, right? As a result of that, the question started to come up, like, when are you all going to open up a brick and mortar, right? I knew at that particular time from a business standpoint that the overhead of a brick and mortar will kill the business. And so what I decided to do was to just create additional opportunities for entrepreneurs who run their own food service business to operate in a remote and virtual kitchen space and cater and meet people where they were versus having a source to come to them. Now, how does that work in terms of just the business and the operations and ensuring, to Tab's point of understanding the stages? Understanding if I would have moved too fast and didn't set the pace of the business, where we wasn't doing a huge volume of repeated business, we would do it very exclusively, and to where every event, it was a focus on quality and not quantity. We now have been around for 5 years and had over 400 business clients, both in the private and the public sector. But the quality of experience is one that's unmatched because we understood how to make sure that we practice excellence, to Tav's point, at each level of the business. Now, we haven't conquered it all, but every event that is done, there's created an opportunity for us to get better. Is there a better process? Is that a better ingredient? Is that a better experience? And how do you then take that step back after you've executed that and had the job for the day? Take a moment to debrief with yourself or your employees to say, what worked well today and what can we do better, and try to show up tomorrow differently.
Yeah, and if you're able to do that and take the time, you'd be amazed at the things that you might end up coming out with that set you up for success.
You will.
100%.
You will. Because unlike Tommy making the smart decision to not move into brick and mortar, my first 2 years in business, I did go get a space that I could not afford. And it did almost take my business down. I had a space downtown Minneapolis where I was paying $3,500 a month for rent. And it literally almost killed me. I don't think it would have killed my excitement for entrepreneurship because I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur. So I would have figured out how to, but I'm talking about physically trying to meet the need in that season of my business was completely unrealistic. It put stress on myself to be able to deliver well. It put stress on the team. We ended up moving out of there, moving into my garage. And now I actually have 2 spaces that cost less than half of what I was paying downtown Minneapolis because of the maturity of understanding your business is not in the shiny building yet stage. It's not in the shiny building stage.
Okay.
It's in the find something over here that you can have conversations with people and that you can deliver your product well, and then do that over and over and over again and make money so that you can eventually build to where you're trying to go. But I made that mistake, and it could have been very detrimental to my business. But I had to take a step back. I had to breathe. I had to give myself grace, and that I really didn't know what I was doing. And then, I had a really amazing support system around me that was like, no, you got this. It was a mistake. Keep moving. But I made that mistake, and it cost me thousands of dollars. But even more than that, it cost me a lot with my health.
Yeah. And your health, you can't replace that. I don't care how much you lose financially.
Yep.
But when you start breaking your health down, you can't replace that. So it's not worth it. Once it gets to that point, it's not worth it.
Correct.
And you're trying to make the right decisions long before you get there, which is why we're always right here, right now, talking about it, talking about the strength and strategy, and just keeping it real, so we make sure that we're making the right decisions with some knowledge, and that's what we're talking about today. So we're also talking about the importance of SOPs and delegation and clear accountability in scaling a small business, and that's the other thing, is having that clear understanding of what we're doing, so that we're not, because I know people will hype you up. Hey, this food, man, this food is so good. Tell me, you ain't got a place I can come every day and have lunch? You wouldn't see them ever again. They have you open up.
It's so true.
And you
so
would
true.
never see them again. They just hyping you up.
So
and
true.
Here you are opening up a restaurant, and if you see them again, they coming in there wanting to hook up. So you can't go by what people want to put you out there, but you got to know what you can do, right? So what's that accountability all about? Tommy, talk about it, because you almost got hooked in there with the hook, line, and sinker.
I love you keeping it real. I love this. I love it. But you know what? I think, most entrepreneurs have to have a sense of self, right? And understanding the vision, right? Because in the previous episode, we talked about the vision and understanding that, as a part of the vision, it wasn't in my vision to ever have a brick and mortar. It was my vision is to create entrepreneurship. And that's what my focus was.
So good.
Entrepreneurship came by way of not an established location, but more about how many businesses I can create opportunities for. And I've had up to 5 contractors that comes in that I provide resources for that helps them build generational wealth, create a revenue stream for them and their families. And that, to me, was bigger than the loss that I would have took in a brick and mortar. I would rather give that money back to them than suffer the consequences of struggling and having them lose their fire and desire for entrepreneurship because they've attempted to grow beyond their talent and skill set and resources. So you have to have a sense of self and be adamant with some level of conviction about this is what the Spirit is allowing me to think and feel and see. And I need to make sure that I stand on business by doing what I know is the benefit of the long-term goal. So for me, I couldn't be convinced to do otherwise. But I did make recommendations on us providing catering opportunities for them when they needed us. So I opened up a meal prep option. So if you want lunch, instead of coming in, I could provide lunch for the week for you.
There you go.
Yeah. So the creative mindset said, there is an interest in that, right? Oh, you want a healthier choice option. I'm not going to fry food. I'm going to be able to provide you smoked, grilled, or baked goods. And then that way I'm catering to the audience. And so I start to think about what it is that I'm hearing from the consumer, but stand on business within the convictions that I have to do the right thing and not be swayed by the influence of others around me.
Perfect. And that way it was a smart move you made, and you're still around to talk about it 5 years later. You didn't go down the tube with the dream of somebody else's.
100%.
Good. And what about you, Tab? I mean, because I know you did, but you came back. So now you've
resilient.
You've been able to get very resilient, but you came back with a strategy this time, and so now you understand that whole delegation and how to really not just jump in.
Correct.
Now you got 2 businesses, so talk a little bit about how that plan all worked for you.
So, interestingly enough, we're an operations company, right? So we focus on helping other people strategize and put SOPs in place and all of those things. But at the end of the day, I'm still an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And so I had to, from that moment forward in my business, make sure that I was practicing what I was preaching. Mm-hmm. Instead of getting caught up in the desire to move towards success, I had to make sure that I have the information at my fingertips. This is how business stages. This is what I'm teaching people every day. So what we started to do from that moment was quarterly strategy sessions. Let's look at what we're doing. Let's look at the entire business and look at what we're doing in all of the businesses. Let's make sure that our boxes are checked. Do we have SOPs for everything? Do we know, there's very practical scripture that says your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. What that means is that when you have a system or a belief system or whatever that is in place that's going to help move you forward, it should do two things. It should illuminate the things that maybe otherwise us as entrepreneurs would like to keep. We don't really want the unsexy parts of entrepreneurship. Okay. But it also should guide you forward toward where you're going. Mm-hmm. So it was then going back from an illumination perspective. What did everything that we just go through show us and teach us about where we were as a business? Where did it show us our flaws? And then as we move forward, how are we going to continue to use that as a guide to say, no, this was how we made decisions before. Here's how we need to make decisions moving forward. So that quarterly strategy session is so important because you just have to take time to stop and think about what you're doing. I was moving forward. We were making the money at the time when I made the decision. It made all the sense in the world. But was it going to get us where we were trying to go? No. Obviously, the decision was not the one that was going to move us to the next stage of business. So, and so actually now as I'm switching my business model a bit, it's only me at Something Great. And so I just did a quarterly session by myself, me and ChatGPT. I talked to it. I told it what was going on in the business. And I asked it to do those two things. Show me the flaws, show me what's been working well, and also show me the flaws. And then help me to put some processes and procedures in place to help move the needle forward from that place.
So you just heard about something that we're going to have to talk about at a later date. However, let's just touch on that. ChatGPT helped you with the conversation you were having with it. We won't say with yourself because then they might make people...
it might speak something wrong. Yeah. Right.
I call Chat my friend. Everybody knows that to be my friend.
Okay, yeah.
So I understand that. But did you get good recommendations on that?
I did. Interestingly enough, I followed the system that I put in place that I created for our clients, and then I took it to my business coach. Okay. So I did bring in a human into the process to say, like, this is what I think I figured out. You know me, now tell me, what's working, what's not working, and how we can move forward.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, that brings us to this, the call to audit your current operations, because you did something like that. So you talk about what's working, what's missing, and what structure needs to be put in place. So when we talk about that, we got to really analyze it, because you mentioned quarterly. Sometimes, it should be maybe not more than that, because you're switching it up too much if you do it more than that, because sometimes you think, give it a month and it ain't working, I got to fix it.
Right.
You gave it a chance.
Enough time
to see if it's going to work. So I think quarterly makes sense, but then what kind of recommendations would you give somebody to kind of look at, what is working, or what, kind of, how would they evaluate that if they weren't able to follow us any further than today? What would you recommend they do to do that?
Yeah, so I would recommend that they actually reach out to Something Great. And here's why. Because I have designed a planning system based on what stage your business is in. So if you're in the first stage, it's a bunch of stuff we're not even going to talk about. We're going to stay right here, and we're going to focus on that first stage of existence, which is focused on creativity. You're getting started. You're building processes. You're creating systems. You're bringing in people into the organization. You're creating this universe that you're going to have to build on. A lot of questions don't have to be asked when you're just creating. And so we've built out a system to help you understand what it means to plan in this stage before you go to the next stage of sustain, and how now we got this. Now how do we sustain it? right? But sustainability is not a question if you don't have your website in place, if you don't have standard operating procedures, if you haven't told your cousins and them exactly what you need to do every time y'all take the food truck out. Now we having an argument in the truck because people don't know what's going on. That's the worst place to fight. It's about 2 inches of space, right?
Or forget that you didn't load it up to be able to sell everything.
Correct. Correct. And that's actually a true story. So like just from this weekend. So it's like making sure that you understand what stage of business you are and plan in that stage. And let's keep it real. That's hard.
It's very hard.
It's hard because part of our job as entrepreneurs is to manage today and build for tomorrow. So how do you do both of those things? How do you manage today and build for tomorrow? And that's just, I just think you need support with that.
And you need that plan we talked about yesterday. And so look back on the video if you didn't catch us yesterday because we talked about that plan, and that's very important. And then back to if you got busy and you got things to do and you want to keep up with this conversation, like I say, something great, you can go check out Tab and she can finish helping you to kind of get to this point where you're at, because business is important. If you're going to invest time and money, you might as well do it right so that you can come out on the winning end. And no, it takes time. It's nothing you're going to do overnight. People, you can't get rich overnight unless you just are one in a million. You got that Powerball number or you got that lucky numbers that you were able to get by being that famous person on the basketball court. I don't know. But it's 1 out of a million, and ain't most of us sitting here today talking about it. So we know we got to work hard.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, sometimes working hard, there's gratitude towards that. It's a good thing. I enjoy the work I do.
Yeah.
When we're able to enjoy the work we do, for the most part, sometimes it's not all about it's not always about the riches. It's about what you're in it for and what you get out of it that matters sometimes. But just whatever you do, you got to do it right. So what do you think about that, Tommy? What are your feelings on this whole leadership and this growth and business growth that we're talking about this afternoon?
Having a growth mindset, to me is something as an entrepreneur, founder, solopreneur, anybody that's in the space of creating and innovating something special, right? And so you always have to be in mode. Here's where, I typically differ from most other entrepreneurs out there. Here's what I coach to in McNeil Management. I think it's really important for business owners to find a way to step out of the business directly. And what I mean by that, you can't be an employee of your own business and also have the mindset of an entrepreneur because you're too far into the weeds. There's a separation, a gap. And some people don't have the ability to convert back and go back and forth. So you have to be able to put on the different hats. And in order to do that, you have to be critical of yourself. You talk about the self-assessment, doing it quarterly. You have to be critical. But then at the end of the day, you're going to give yourself more grace because there is gratitude that comes along with going to be a part of that journey and understanding you're doing something special. And you're creating something, maybe and pioneering something that's maybe never happened in your family or, that's been closely tied to you. So it is something special about that. But you also have to be critical with yourself and say, you know what? I know that I'm falling short in these particular areas because this is why the results are the way that they are. So how do you then take yourself out of that space, put on a hat and be critical of yourself and equally hold yourself accountable for that? Now, that may be through an accountability buddy. It may be through a business coach like myself, right? You come to me, I'm able to help you set benchmarks and really walk you through, because most of the time we're building the plane as we go. And when we're actually doing the work and we're fatigued by the end of the night because we work 12 hours trying to make it, or we're in a fractional position or a transitional position where we actually are working a regular job and then we're doing our business on the side, it's hard to do all of that. And entrepreneurship is not easy. However, if in fact that you're passionate about that which of growing your business long term, you got to step outside of the space of employment and get into a space of entrepreneurship through some level of accountability. It's your responsibility to do that in order for your business to grow.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'm able to do both because I've been actually maybe an employee longer than I've been a business owner. So I have the ability to do both, and I find myself doing both as a small business owner. I do things that I have my employees do, and I also sometimes do it just to show them that I'm not asking you to do anything more than I can do myself. So I want them to see sometimes that tasks are not as hard as they make them be. And I don't know if that's a great way of doing it or not. It's just my way of doing it. But we'll talk about that one on another show.
We got one coming up.
It's better than telling her. I don't know about that, but
we'll get down to it.
We're gonna get down to that.
Yes.
So as you guys can see, I can learn stuff from them too as well. So here's where we're at, though. We're talking about something great when we got Tav here and then McNeil Management. So we got Tommy here doing that, and we got two wonderful people that can really help us with figuring out where we're at with our businesses and how we can to move forward. So we don't have to figure all this out by ourselves, not today, maybe not even tomorrow, but we got to figure it out and we got to have help. But we're going to find out more about more help on our next segment of Strength and Strategies with Tracey's Keeping It Real. Until then, make sure to take care of yourself.